Invigorate Berserk combo to just one-shot someone.
Oh yes, the whole, oh no, I'm terribly behind, oh look, I drew the right card and win thing is definitely something that Infect can do out of nowhere.
Yeah, and against this ninja stack that does have access to things like Thoughtseize and... Oh, no Hypnoturax actually, but certainly has Thoughtseize for discard spells, so sometimes you Thoughtseize them, feel safe, and still die out of nowhere.
So I know that Infect is a dazed deck. Is ninjas? What does its counter suite look like?
Definitely has 4 Force of Will, but I do not see any days in the list.
A couple of Spell Pierce.
Yeah, Spell Pierce.
I think that's it. Just the Force and the Spell Pierce?
Some Flusterstorms in the sideboard, but yeah, no additional main deck counters. Does have 1 Venser Shaper Savant.
That could be real funny.
That card is sort of like a counter spell, even countering uncounterable spells.
Alright, I think we got players on the right side here, so they're getting rolling.
Yeah, this is definitely Mike on the left.
Let's get the clock going, since I believe they have theirs going. Alright. Players opting for high roll as opposed to even odds, so let's see them roll off a few times while they tie.
I believe I just saw Michael roll Snake Eyes, so probably didn't win that one unless they opted for low roll.
That is definitely not good for Mike, as Infect being on the play is definitely where it wants to be.
Yeah. Any deck that has Thoughtseize in it really wants to be on the play more than on the draw.
Yes. Yes, case 6 rounds today. We'll get a final round count from Frank, our tournament organizer, shortly. Or not round count, player count. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, unless more than 10 people showed up in the last 5 minutes, I think we're going to be sitting on 6 rounds.
Yes, I believe we were solidly mid-50s when I checked a little bit before I started. I doubt we got up into 60, but we'll see.
Well, so at the player meeting, Mike Wallio was sitting at table 23, and given that he's pretty near the end of the alphabet,
yeah,
I'm guessing
right around
the 50 player mark.
All right, so let's see what we got here from Mike. Mike leads off with a Swamp and a Thoughtseize turn 1 to Gary's Windswept Heath. Let's look at Gary's hand. We have Vines of Fastwood, Invigorate, a Berserk, a Blighted Agent, and 2 Inkmoth Nexuses.
Well, taking Blighted Agent is probably the best idea if he has a Baleful Strix in hand.
Absolutely.
Though Berserk does give Trample, so in combination with Invigorate.
Yeah, Mike's going to need
push through that.
Some kind of Spell Pierce Effect or something if he wants to live through that hand, because Invigorate Berserk is pretty much all you need. Especially if Gary can find another green source.
Yes. Michael does also have 2 Wastelands in his deck, which are reasonable answers to Inkmoth Nexus.
Looking at Michael's hand as best I can, I see a bunch of lands. I don't know if I saw a Spell Pierce or anything like that.
I believe he has Hergure the Stillwind as one of the spells in his deck.
Oh, of course, why not?
The very expensive Ninja Legend. I know it makes other ninjas unblockable for Gary, a lot of mana.
Just dropping an Inkmoth and passing. Let's see, another land from Mike off the top. Just playing Drago for a couple of rounds here.
Yeah, it looks like Snapcaster, another blue spell, probably a ninja of some sort, and then some lands. Not a great hand for Michael, but he can Snapcaster Thoughtseize next turn, unless Gary just goes for the win here.
He is firing up that Inkmoth and swinging. Let's see if Mike can do anything about it, because if not, this is not great for Michael.
He is going to go for it here, but leaving up Vines instead of playing the Berserk, so only getting in for 5 Infect.
Oh no!
I take it back.
Another Invigorate.
This is going to be 9.
If he deploys the Berserk now, Mike needs something.
I'm pretty sure Michael doesn't have anything, but Gary is going to go for it. So
and game
that's
1.
Game 1. All right. So, a turn 3 win through a Thoughtseize, but still pretty fast for Infect there.
Yeah, Michael just had straight nothing, which was very unfortunate. That was just the perfect hand for Gary. Lived through a Thoughtseize, taking his only creature, but Inkmoth Nexus getting there.
All right, so moving to the sideboards, Michael gets to bring in another Edict, a Toxic Deluge, some counterspells and a pair of Flusterstorms, and 1 Curfew. I'm not sure if that card's good enough, but we'll see. It is a way to interact with creatures.
It's a funny card more than a good card, I think. You can definitely get people with it, but you have to build the situation very carefully for it to actually work.
The other half of Michael's sideboard, just throwing it out there, is a bunch of one-up ninjas with 1 Okiba King Shinobi, 1 Throat Slitter, 1 Skull Snatcher, 1 Split Shinobi, and one Sakashima student. So I don't even know what some of these cards do.
I was about to say, I can tell you what Sakashima student does. I'm pretty sure one of those is the discard one.
Yeah, Okiba Gang Shinobi is the one that we sometimes see in Pauper that makes them discard 2 when you hit them.
Mm-hmm.
Throat Slitter kills a creature when you hit them.
Okay.
Skull Snatcher, I think, like removes cards from graveyards.
That sounds right. Mistblade? I'm not sure.
It's a 1-mana blue creature. I'm pretty sure it's only in a sideboard as a joke, and he never attempts to bring it in any match.
In case you are watching Ninjas in round 1 of the Legacy Preservation Series 1K here at Mox Boarding House, we wanted to get it on stream now because I wasn't sure if we were going to have an opportunity to put it on later.
This is what the format looks like when you ban Deathrite Shaman.
Yes, people get to try weird things, and boy howdy does Michael Wallio like to try weird things.
To be fair, he's played Blue-Black Ninjas in the past when Deathrite was still legal.
This is definitely the most all-in on just ninjas I've seen him go, especially in that sideboard.
Well, Yuriko being a new card from Commander 18, I believe.
Yes.
Is actually pretty powerful in this deck.
And he does have a 1 of Tetsuo Umezawa, which makes a lot of his small creatures unblockable.
True. I think that actually it makes every creature in his deck except Higure unblockable.
Venser also.
Oh, sure.
Let's see. Meanwhile, in Gary's sideboard, he has a couple of Flusterstorms, a Hydroblast I don't think he's going to bring in, Pithing Needle if he thinks Michael has Wasteland, but since he didn't see it, I don't know if he's going to bother. Surgical Extractions if he wants, a couple of Dismembers, Viridian Corruptor, a Force of Will, Submerge, Teferi's Response, if he also suspects that Wasteland.
Yeah.
That could be silly. Relic, I don't know if he bothers bringing in. Yeah, just kind of general Infect sideboard. Probably just bring in some counter magic. Maybe a Surgical Extraction if he's feeling spicy.
Yeah, I think Flusterstorm's likely to come in, but he didn't really see much of Michael's deck in Game 1. He saw basically blue-black lands and a Thoughtseize, and that was it.
Yeah, like if he had access to Mike's list, there's definitely some things he'd bring in, but outside of maybe like Force of Will and the Flusterstorms, I don't know what else he does off of what he saw.
Yeah, it's just a question of whether or not he wants the Graveyard Hate, if he assumes that Michael's on a more graveyard-based deck than he actually is. Maybe hedging against Michael being blue-black Reanimator or something.
Perhaps. Alright, I believe they now have their opening hands. Gary, I just saw a land. I think I saw an Invigorate, but I'm not sure. Michael leading off with an Underground Sea into a Thoughtseize again.
Alright, much better on the play this time.
So we have
Force of Will, Crop Rotation, and
Brainstorm. No creatures.
Well, Crop Rotation can get Inkbond access, so that's sort of like a creature.
Effectively a creature.
I think Michael's debating taking Brainstorm, both because that's arguably the best card in Gary's hand, and it's his only blue card for Force of Will. And that is what he's going to do.
There might be an argument for taking the Crop Rotation just because there are no creatures in Gary's hand.
Yeah.
Brainstorm is definitely a fine take in most any situation.
If Michael does have a Force of Will of his own, and Gary goes for a Crop Rotation that then gets countered, Michael's in great shape.
Alright, so Gary draws a card, draws another Brainstorm, so womp womp there for Michael.
Good old Thoughtseize bug there. They always draw whatever card you take.
Just drops Tropical and says pass. Michael draws another Underground Sea. I saw a Snapcaster Mage in his hand, but he's going to lead off with a Ponder after dropping that second Underground.
Alright.
Michael Wallio is not playing a Commander deck, although he did right before this tournament say he's thought about turning this into a Commander deck, so it's not far off.
Yeah, not quite a Highlander deck, but
has the makings of one if he wants to turn it into one.
Yeah.
Alright, is that a Hydroblast in Michael's hand that he drew? Or a Blue Elemental Blast? Might be the
That wouldn't make sense against the green-black Infect deck.
Right. Gary firing off the Brainstorm end of turn gets swiftly Flusterstormed by Michael. Drops his fetch land, and any other follow-ups? Let's see, going fetch.
Fetch it now, so...
Might aim for the Crop Rotation right now. Michael with another Underground Sea. Looks like a Snapcaster. That might be a Curfew.
Yeah, I believe Curfew is the 1-mana blue spell in his hand.
Gary just fetching up a Forest and passing the turn.
Alright, so just fetching main phase to play around Stifle. Not going to go for the Crop Rotation now. Looks like some sort of ninja that Michael drew. And Snapcaster Thoughtseize or Snapcaster Ponder.
I would think Thoughtseize in this situation.
Oh yeah, we should adjust the player's life totals because even though Gary is playing Infect,
still matters.
Yeah. Michael's going to be down to 16 from a pair of Thoughtseizes. And I think Gary's at 19 from a single fetch.
I believe that is correct.
But crap rotation for Inkmoth Nexus resolves, so there's a chance that Walio is just dead this turn.
There is a chance. What did he have? He had a Vines. So we have Vines, Invigorate, Force of Will, and a fetch. So Michael would need to, Gary would need to draw a Berserk or something off the top for this to be lethal immediately.
Yeah, but if Thoughtseize takes the Invigorate, I think there's no single card that kills him here, because Gary won't have enough mana to activate the Nexus, kick Vines of Vastwood, and play another pump spell.
Correct. So Michael has at least a turn to do something. He will get one swing in with the Snapcaster, and we might finally see a Ninja from the Ninja's deck.
We can also just see him leave up Curfew, both to be an answer to the Inkmoth Nexus that beats Vines of Vastwood, and lets him bounce his own Snapcaster for value.
Yes. Snapcaster particularly good in a Ninja's deck as you keep getting uses out of it as you ninjutsu in things, and Curfew plays right into that.
Yeah. Can be kind of man intensive. Looks like he's going to have enough time this game to really get his engine going.
Michael fetching up a second Tropical Island. Gary, keep going, Michael. Let's see what he does this turn. Fires up the Inkmoth. Swing in for one, and just one.
Yeah.
Some confusion about the life pads. Probably.
Yeah, I don't think there's an Infect counter they can specify there.
There is, but it's a little weird to get to.
Oh, okay.
The app they use on there is M-Utility. It does have a Infect counter on it, but it's a little wonky.
Well, the players are just opting for colored dice, which works just as well. Michael's now on one Infect counter.
Michael untaps, draws, drew a fetch land. Let's see what he opts to do this turn. He's almost certainly going to leave up a single mana for Curfew. Can't imagine.
I'm not sure what the ninjutsu cost on this ninja is, but looks like 2.
And that
is
a Yuriko. Yuriko is basically a ninja of the deep hours for all of your ninjas. Anytime a ninja connects, you draw a card.
I believe it's also a reverse Dark Confidant, in that you reveal the top card and your opponent loses life. So yeah, he's going to reveal Fatal Push. Gary loses another one, and drawing Fatal Push looks pretty nice here.
Michael's starting to draw answers for Gary's attacks. Gary draws another land, which is both good and bad. He can now start looking for things like Berserk to try to close out the game, but for now he's just going to fire up the Inkmoth. Still holding on to a Force of Will with no second blue card.
Yeah, and he knows about the Fatal Push, so probably not going to go all in this turn. But he's thinking about at least one pump spell.
He has Vines of Vastwood, but he also knows that Michael knows about the Vines of Vastwood, so...
Yes.
Alright, go for an after-combat Fatal Push to make... Ooh, he drew Flusterstorm. That's pretty good.
Alright, that's definitely going to counter it. But means that this Yuriko gets to keep getting in there.
Getting a decent amount of card advantage, draws another land. Alright, gonna get in there with Yuriko. Another point of damage.
And the trigger for 2 more. Plus, Baleful Strike's looking like a pretty good blocker here.
Gary should be at 13 off of all that damage. Baleful Strike's exceptionally good blocker against Inkmoth Nexus as long as Gary doesn't find a way to give it trample.
Yes. And even if he does find a Berserk, if he does end up going all in with some sort of pump spell plus Berserk combo, the Curfew is still in Michael's hand to blow him out.
We're going to start off with a Ponder for this turn from Gary. Let's see what he finds. I see at least one land. Might be... It's like... Couldn't quite tell. It might have been a creature in there.
Yeah, I think there was another cantrip in there or something. But he drew Berserk. So probably going to set up to try to make a one-turn lethal Berserk to Inkmoth Nexus.
He already has 2 Infect counters on Michael, so the 1 toughness that the Baleful Strix gives him isn't going to help.
Yeah, not with a +4/+4 plus Berserk combo.
Just going to get in with both.
Baleful Strix just attacking with no fear.
Michael may be giving away a bit of his hand that he has something that can answer the Inkmoth Nexus.
Well, I think he might just have another ninja, so gonna ninjutsu back with Baleful Strix and replay it.
Right, so Michael fetching down. Gary's taking at least 2, but we'll see what ends up happening with ninjas. For 3, I am not sure which ninja that is off the top of my head. Is that the Throat Slitter?
I think that's Throat Slitter, which is not going to kill anything on board.
Throat Slitter's just a 1/1.
But this is 2 Yuriko triggers.
Yeah, Michael pointing at the Inkmoth saying, but I want to kill it.
Yeah.
Alright, so Gary going down to 10 off the attack. Or sorry, going down to 11 off the attack, I believe. Let's see.
2 triggers.
1 takes nothing, and the second one takes 1. Down to 10. Thoughtseize pretty good draw from Michael there. Gets to check Gary's hand again, see how safe he is.
Yeah, this would force him to tap out if he wants to replay the Strix, so not be able to leave up Curfew in that scenario.
So Vines and Berserk is lethal technically if Michael didn't hold on to Curfew.
Gary's still short 1 mana to kick the Vines, cast Berserk, and animate Nexus.
Yes.
Looks like he's just going to take the Vines anyway. And now I imagine he's going to want to leave up Curfew rather than
Redeploy the Strix.
because a Invigorate off the top would be lethal.
And it looks like another Nexus.
Okay. So this helps Gary's chip shot game plan, just getting in a bunch of 1-point attacks.
This also effectively negates Michael's Curfew if Gary leaves up mana to activate the second Inkmoth.
True.
However, attacking before playing the Inkmoth, just getting in for 1 more point of Infect. There's the second Inkmoth.
Alright. I like it, Case. See you soon.
We will see you here shortly, Case. Yet another land for Michael. How many lands does he play? Does this count as flooding out for him?
Looks like 20 lands in his deck. But when he's drawing 3 cards a turn with 2 Yuriko triggers,
Yeah, he's not hurting for
having 7
cards
lands in
game.
play is not really that big of an issue.
Alright, another swing from Yuriko and Throat Slitter. Takes Gary down to 8, down to 7.
Alright, so
And
if he brainstorms with the second trigger on the stack and has something expensive to put back,
drawing another... Oh, that was the Umezawa, Tetsuo Umezawa, which I believe only costs 2?
yes.
That might be his best option. He has a pretty low curve on his deck. He was hoping to find like a Force or something off the bat.
Yeah, I think Force Will, the 1 Venser, 1 Hagure being the only really expensive things to reveal.
Alright, so we put a Yuriko on top, which costs 3. So Gary is definitely getting in range where he only has 1 more turn or so to make something happen.
Yeah, I imagine that Gary is definitely dead next turn, and with Michael having a ton of interaction in hand, I don't think there's anything Gary can draw to close this game out.
Did Michael already fire off the Fatal Push? Did he still have one?
He used the first one, but I think drew into a second one.
Okay, so likely redeploying a Baleful Strix. Nope, just passing the turn. Okay.
Passing with Curfew, then Snapcaster Curfew, probably.
Yes. That is more than enough to take care of Gary's current board, and Gary sees the writing on the wall and scoops it up for game 3.
Alright.
1 win apiece as we go into sideboards. Gary now has a little bit better idea of what Michael's up to. Anything else you think he'd bring in?
If he has any kind of creature removal spells, looks like a pair of Dismembers could come in to kill the ninjas, as well as Submerge, Though, I guess no forest in Michael's deck, so that would not work out too well.
If he's feeling spicy, he could bring in Dissenter's Deliverance, fog a turn after Michael ninjutsu's in something.
No, that's not a fog. That's the artifact removal spell.
Oh, that's the artifact removal
Yes.
spell. Fair enough. You might think Michael has Umazawa's Jitte, but he hasn't seen it yet, so I don't see any reason he would bring it in.
Ninjutsu is an activated ability, right? So he could theoretically Pithing Needle that.
He could Pithing Needle
It
a
seems
card,
questionable.
because he's seen at least 2 or 3 different ninjas from Michael at this point. So
Yeah, I imagine the best one to name would be the Yuriko, but even still, like, if he needles to shut off the ninjutsu ability, Michael can still just hardcast it.
yes. Yeah, Pithing Needle seems extraordinarily bad, especially since he didn't see any of the Wastelands from Michael yet.
True.
Not bringing in Hydroblast, probably fine with Flusterstorms.
Yeah, we saw the Flusterstorms in Game 2 already. Those definitely came in.
He did see Snapcaster, so there's an argument for Surgical if he feels he has dead weight elsewhere in his deck.
Yeah, I would lean towards not bringing it in. But I think the only real change you can consider for Game 3 is bringing in the Dismembers.
Most likely. Probably leaves in the Sylvan Library, which is one of in his main. I don't know what you cut too much, so he's probably trying to keep it pretty lean as far as what he's bringing in.
Yeah, it's possible he cut some number of dazes when he was on the draw and then can bring them back in on the play. Potentially cutting either some cantrips or some of his weaker pump spells. Maybe even the one-off crop rotation looking bad against various counter spells.
All of which seems reasonable. Alright, they are all shuffled up. Let's see what this game looks like with Gary on the play. Reset the live totals here real quick.
Yeah, we saw about a 3-minute Game 1 followed by a 20-something minute Game 2, so...
Which seems right given who won each game.
Yes.
That's about how they each drew this up. So Gary is looking at least 2 or 3 lands, a bunch of other spells. I see at least a Force, a Ponder. Don't know how many lands Michael's looking at, but we start out with a Noble Hierarch from Gary and a pass.
I think Michael has a Wasteland and then a Fetch Land as his only 2 lands, but now just drew an Underground Sea. Gonna have no mana issues this game.
Yep. And not staring down a... Oh, for the Fatal Push. I thought he might have let off with the Ponder.
I like killing Infect's creatures when they're tapped out, so you don't have to worry about vines.
True. How do you feel about using up one of the removal spells on the Hierarch? Because that's not likely to kill you.
Yeah, I think if he didn't have any other answer to an Infect creature, then he would want to save the push. But he currently has Force of Will for any creature spell, and then Wasteland if it's a Nexus.
Right,
And
on
yeah, I
his
think
turn.
he is very likely going to try to force this Blooded Agent.
Nope,
he
just
is
lets it
not
go.
going to.
Another Ponder here from Michael. Drops Fetch Lane and fires off the first Ponder.
This is likely going to have to find him something, because he does not
Believe
currently
I
have a removal spell in hand, as far as I can see.
Saw Snapcaster, I believe, in at least one land. Can't tell what that card on top is right now.
Okay, so maybe banking on Force of Will being able to stop him from dying this turn, and then he can Snapcaster the Fatal Push next turn.
Yes, that would be the most likely course, but he's stopping the shuffle, which, fair enough. I believe he pretty banked in on finding a removal spell or some other answer. Snapcaster would eventually do it, but if there's any interaction on Michael's side for that Snapcaster, he's pretty out of luck.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for Gary's hand to have enough pump spells to present lethal and also have counter magic of his own, but it's not impossible. There's a decent chance Michael's just dead here.
Yeah, Michael's only interaction, it looks like, is that Force of Will. Still another couple of Ponders.
Yeah, he can probably cast another Ponder to look for either a Daze or another Force.
See what he finds off this second Ponder here. That is now 2 fetches from Michael. No, just 1 fetch from Michael, 1 fetch from Gary.
And that is a Flusterstorm that he does not have mana for this turn, and potentially a Curfew?
I believe that is Curfew that he's leaving on top, and he's going to draw.
Alright, so I think Michael's in good shape if he survives this turn, but that is not a guarantee.
Just another land off the top for Gary. and not a Nexus, so not bad. That has become immense in his hand. He needs to fill up his yard a little bit before it's really threatening.
Yeah. He can definitely cast it with 3 cards in graveyard and 3 lands in play, but I think he would rather spend less than 3 mana on that card.
Yes, and that wouldn't even kill Michael this turn, although it would definitely make him have to slow way down.
Yeah, if he does have another pump spell, he can maybe play that first and then play a cheaper Become Immense for lethal.
Yeah, if he has Invigorate Become Immense, this could be it.
Well, he's leading off with Kicked Vines. Okay.
Michael lets that go. There's Berserk.
Okay, so doesn't have enough mana for the Become Immense after this. So Force does keep Michael alive this turn. But he's going to take 5. And Curfew might not be enough to save him.
Perhaps not. It will buy him a turn.
Though I guess the shield are down, so Snapcaster Fatal Push can kill this Blighted Agent likely.
Did he actually have Snapcaster? I thought he pondered that away.
Yeah, you are correct. He does not currently have a Snapcaster in hand. Looks like he has Curfew, Flusterstorm, and Brainstorm to go along with the Wasteland.
Yep. Just dropped Fetch Land and passed the turn. Gary swings, and let's see what he does. There's the Become Immense.
He's going for it.
Which Michael Curfews now? Brainstorms first?
He has to Curfew at some point, but gonna Brainstorm first.
I believe he was brainstorming, try to bait out any counter magic that Gary had.
Found a pair of lands and a Eureka.
So no help there in the immediate. Gonna fetch away those lands.
Yeah, he's gonna have to go for the Curfew, so if Gary has a counterspell, Michael will just be dead here.
I haven't seen one yet, but Gary's been playing his cards pretty close to his vest, so I haven't seen the entirety of his hand yet.
I guess Michael has the Flusterstorm, so he'll probably be able to fight back against something.
Just Flusterstorm the Immense. He's holding back the Curfew, I guess, for desperation.
And yeah, Brainstorm adds the Storm count, so now this is a Flusterstorm able to counter the Become Immense.
Gary lets it go.
Okay. Become Immense does go to his graveyard, being separate from the exile pile.
And there's an Ink Moth for Gary, which makes Curfew now much worse.
Indeed.
Yeah, this is the problem with Curfew, especially with decks like Infect that like to drop a lot of creatures if they can, or like things like Ink Moth. Michael did have the Wasteland for the Ink Moth, though, which solves that problem for now.
Yeah, Curfew is really good at buying time, but unless Michael can establish a clock, he's not going to be able to beat the Blighted Agent coming back down and just attacking 4 times.
Still has another Wasteland in hand, 1 Ninja, and a Curfew still. Gary ponders. I think I see a Hierarch, either a Forest or a Pendelhaven.
If Gary does go for some sort of pump spell, tapping out,
there's Pendelhaven.
Curfew will be pretty good, both essentially acting as a fog, but also if Gary doesn't have enough mana, he would not be able to replay the Blighted Agent this turn.
Pendelhaven puts Michael on a 2-turn clock. He can take this hit, but he would need to find an answer immediately.
Looks like that's what's going to happen.
Is that the Curfew now?
Yeah.
I believe that's the Curfew. So in his end step, he's playing Curfew, which I do not blame Gary at all for having to read.
Yeah, I think that's probably a card that's mostly in Michael's sideboard to beat larger creatures like Gristlebrand's, but
Your Merit
surprisingly
Lages
good in this matchup.
I believe we're going to see a Wasteland just hitting the Pendelhaven.
And tap 3 mana to cast Eureka.
So Michael successfully bought himself a window to get a creature down. I believe that's a Glistener Elf that Gary drew, so we can deploy a couple of threats this turn.
Indeed.
There's the Blighted Agent. There's the Glistener Elf. Just a land left in Gary's hand, so he's going to need... Oh, nope. Goes for the fetch.
Yeah, probably should have played that one before playing out his creatures just to play around days, but doesn't end up getting punished for that.
Nope. So he's now banking on these two creatures taking him home. Michael would need to leave Yuriko back to block the Glistener Elf and hope that Gary doesn't draw any sort of pump spell.
He does have another ninja in hand, so...
Looks like a Deep Hours?
Yeah, but unfortunately can't ninjutsu that one in and leave up enough mana to replay the Yuriko. So we might just see 4 mana ninja the Deep Hours come down on blocking duty.
Looks like that's exactly what's happening.
But he's not dead on board. We'll see if Gary drew any pump spell to finish things off.
Alright.
Nope.
Michael goes up to 9 Infect, leaving back the Glistener Elf so that Michael only gets to see one card off the top one way or the other. Off of the ninjas.
Ooh, and drawing Brainstorm is real nice in combination with Yuriko.
It's not quite in range where that can be like threatening anything that matters this turn. Like, Gary has enough life, he can afford to take a forcible hit off Yuriko or something.
No, but if Gary takes all this damage, Michael's going to get to see a ton of cards.
I believe he would leave the Glistener Elf back so he could presumably block one of these creatures so that Michael doesn't get to draw that many cards, but...
Well, there's no reason to attack with the Glistener Elf into a 2/2 ninja as a blocker, but I think chump blocking to deny Michael drawing 2 cards is a reasonable line.
However, he just lets them both go through, so he looks like he stacked it so that Ninja goes off first. And now we see Yuriko flip an island. Nothing happens. Michael just takes 3. Or sorry, Gary takes 3. I will get the names right as this match ends. And that's the Mistblade Shinobi, which, again, I don't actually remember what it does.
I believe it returns a creature to hand.
Okay, so another bounce effect. Certainly not the worst. After drawing those 2 cards, Michael going to Brainstorm.
Finds another Brainstorm, Thoughtseize, and Edict.
Edict's certainly not bad here.
Well, with the Glistener Elf still in play, none of these actually answer the Blighted Agent. Michael could still just be dead here.
Did he have another cantrip? I believe he had another Brainstorm.
Yeah, he does have another Brainstorm. One more Desperation look for something.
So the Edict is a 1-of.
I think he needs to find Fatal Pusher, he's just going to be dead.
That seems right. He could...
I guess Snapcaster would be good enough since he has a Fatal Push in the graveyard already.
Yes, Snapcaster would do it. Snapcaster or Fatal Push is pretty much his only outs here because he can Snapcaster to block the Glistener Elf and then Fatal Push the Blighted Agent. So Baleful Strix, not quite there. Baleful Strix, another Brainstorm,
and a Force of
Will.
Alright, so the third Brainstorm this turn gets him 1 card deeper towards a push.
Alright, let's see what else he has up his sleeve. Any other way to answer this?
I think at this point it has to be exactly Brainstorm, and the third card down has to be another Fatal Push.
Brainstorm doesn't do it. He needs a blocker and a removal spell.
Well, he has the Mistblade Shinobi, which you can just play for 1 mana.
However, Gary just sacks the Glistener Elf, and Blighted Agent can't be blocked, so this might be it.
He's brainstorming, digging for something. I don't believe he has a 0 mana removal spell.
Has he made his land drop this turn yet?
No, I'm not sure. And he looks like just revealing the hand, saying, I did not get there off 3 Brainstorms and 3 Ninja triggers to draw cards.
So Gary McNeely looks like he will take home this one 2-1. First game, like we said, was about 3 minutes. Gary just steamrolling. Second game was about 20 with Michael's game plan working it. And this one was a good kind of actual interactive back and forth.
Yeah. Gary got in the 1 hit for 5 on his first attack, but then all of the rest of the damage was just 1-point chip shots.
And that did show off some of the shortcomings of Curfew. It's a good, silly card that can buy you some time, but unless you combine it with a lot of other answers, not the greatest on its own.
Yeah, it's really good against decks that want exactly